Hello and welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm Jenny and today I'm going to be making another Christmas layout for Christmas in July, but this is actually going to go out slightly after the start of August, sorry about that. But it'll be showing you, I'm going to do a few videos showing you the results of my Christmas in July crafting. So this layout, I've worked it out and put everything down loosely, but not stuck anything down yet, because I wanted to talk to you about when you have really busy photographs and you maybe don't want to do very much in the way of embellishment. No, I want to go that way. There we go. Turn my mat the other way up. Okay. So this page is the front page, like the left-hand page of it. Main page, I guess. Right. And on this layout, my plan was to just document. I was having a little flick through some of my old photographs, and I found that I had a whole series of photographs. We had these little reindeer bells that we hung on the tree one year, and my children absolutely loved them. The amount of time that they spent taking them off of the tree, prancing up and down the lounge, and then when they'd finished, they'd hang them very carefully back up on the tree. And it was just very good, very much fun. And then one day they had a couple of friends come over, and all four of them were prancing up and down the lounge with these reindeer bells, whilst me and the other mum just stood there drinking our cup of coffee. It was very civilised for us anyway. And they always ended up back on the tree properly, so that was good. So my thought was that I would have the picture of the four of them prancing up and down here, and then tell the story underneath. And then over on the right-hand page, these aren't actually my photo mats for this. I was going to have a very small picture of when the tree was lit, because it had fairy lights on it as well. But back then I didn't have a camera that was good enough to take a picture of a light-covered tree and really have it up to 4x6. So I'm going to put it in 3x4. And then have the unlit tree in daylight down here as a 4x6. And then up here I was going to have them hanging all the bells back on, because I've got several pictures of that, but I was going to pick the best. And then I've got pictures of all the different decorations that we put on that year. These little photo spots are actually smaller than I'm intending to put on there, because these aren't actually the photo mats that I was planning on using. So, with that said, the reason why I've gone for these colours is that when I looked at this paper, I realised that this peaceful pine is the same colour as the reindeer bells. We've got one, maybe two left at the moment, so I was going to take some close-up photos of those and then use those as two embellishments. Maybe one at each end of the journaling, maybe only do one, I don't know. Depends on how many I've got and how good a photograph I can take of them. So we're going to stick these bits down together, or rather I'm going to explain to you what they are and then show you what the finished product looks like. So on this side we've got a fairly simple, as you can see this was originally a 7x7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah, 7x7 of these little pieces, which you can cut out and use as a base for maybe an embellishment area, or put it on a card. I was going to put 1, 2, 3 down a card, like 1, 2, 3. I do not have any cards to hand. There we go. Let's do with some of these. So, like, sometimes you do them with 2, sometimes you do them with 3. Depends on the size of the piece. I was thinking that these would work with 3 down a card. They might only work with 2. It also depends on how you want to put your greeting on the card as well. So I have plans for my second pack of this paper. And then this is very pretty and very shiny. I can just catch the light very nicely on it. Excellent. It's brushed gold. Stampin' Up put out various different shiny papers, and they have a limited stock, and then when it's gone, it's gone. But they generally have about 6 months, sometimes 18 months worth of stock, depending on how popular they think it's going to be, obviously, and how popular it is. But this one I picked up. I've literally just opened my second pack to put on this layout. So that piece will go off on the right, and this piece will go next to it. As you can see, I didn't cut it exactly because I needed to make sure that the other piece didn't have an overhang. So it doesn't really matter because I want to have the gold going over the side. And then I've used Old Olive, the light side of it, as my base. And on the left-hand side, wait for it, I cut out the middle because I'm going to use that for something else. Mostly because of the back. I'm going to use the back for something else. I'm not quite sure whether I'm going to build another page. Again, that would look very good on this side. So I may end up building another layout with this being the right-hand page on a 2-page layout. I don't know. Yes. So then I cut this very carefully so that it would be, so that I could make sure that it was supported by that, supported by the piece underneath. And then I wasn't quite sure when I cut this whether it was going to go over the top or underneath the Old Olive, but I decided actually I like it over the top better. I'll show you what underneath looks like. So you might want to have underneath for yours, I don't know, if you want to case my design. Having a small piece around the outside would have allowed me to have a bigger photograph. This is a 6 by, not quite 6 by 8. And that's what it would look like if you did that, but had the green over the top. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put the gold over the top. So this is what my layout will look like, and I will come back to you when it's all stuck down, and yeah, and then I'll show you where my photos, show you again where the photos are going to go, and then this will be a lovely short little video for you. Pause button. Actually, I decided that I was going to show you how to stick it on, because when you've got a piece that's only a little bit over, quite often I put the glue around the outside of the piece that I'm sticking on, but because I'm going to then put another thing over the top, I'm actually putting the glue onto my backing piece, in this case, just around the hole. And then, because I'm using wet glue, I've got a little bit of wiggle time, so I can make sure that I line it up in the middle, like so. Not that it matters hugely because it's going to have this over the top, reinforcing it as well as making it look pretty. But it then means that if I did something on the other side, and I had it hanging off maybe on the inside somewhere of that square, that wouldn't look so great, depending on what I decide to do with the other side. Okay, so one thing with the brushed gold is that I want to make sure that my brushed goes in the same direction. So this brushed is going side to side, Let me see if I can show you that. I don't know whether I can or not. Okay. At the moment, the brushed on this one is going top to bottom. So I go side to side. And the other thing that I need to double check is that I've got it around the way that I want to have it. I think that I want to have it rotated. I don't want one that's similar on the bottom right. So yeah, I think that that looks good as an opposite page. Put that down like that. And then this one will go over the top like so. And on this, in this particular case, right, so we're going that way. Okay, in this one, I want to put the glue on the gold paper, the frame. You might be thinking, why are you putting so much glue on? Because this looks like I'm putting loads of glue on, but I've got a very fine tip on this. It's not the finest tip, but it's somewhat finer than most other glues that I've used. So this should go this way round. Double check that it's the way round that I want the brushed foil to go. Yep. Turn it around, have that open at the top. Okay, and then just make sure that it's a little tiny bite into this corner, this corner, this corner and this corner. And there we go. Very neatly done. And then there's this one, this big strip to go down the side. So back to what I would usually do when I'm sticking a piece on. And then line it up very carefully and make sure that it's right in the corner and right in this corner. With glue, wet glue, you have a little bit of wiggle time, but depending on how dry it is and how hot it is and all of that, the time may vary. And at the moment, we're having quite a warm July in the UK. Don't know whether it's caught it on the international news or not, but we've had a number of wildfires in Europe. And in the little bit where I live, East Anglia, we've had 4 different nature reserves catch fire, which just simply because the grass is so dry that the tiniest little spark can set it off. So it's affecting glue drying time and things as well, but obviously the plants and wildlife in particular, far more important. Right. So we have got, so I'm going to need to do my photographs. When I print them out, I will make them 6x4 down here and a 6x4 up here and line up those edges, and then a 3x4 here, which I might end up making slightly wider than a 3x4. It depends on what my photograph looks like. One of the things about printing your own photographs or arranging them neatly into a file that you can then print at the supermarket or wherever is that you can get the exact photograph that you want, and you can make sure that there's a little white edge around it if you want, and things as well. So these, as I said, will be ever so slightly bigger, so we're probably looking at a footprint like that, but I don't tend to have 2.5 by 2.5 or 2.25 by 2.25 mats on hand. That's what 2.5 would look like, and that's probably what I will go for. So, and then there'll be one photograph over here with journaling, and I probably will put the journaling either on this basic beige, this is the light side of basic beige, that's dark side of basic beige, or I'll put it just straight on white, because this pattern paper is white. Then you get some absolutely gorgeous shine on this, and because of the shiny and the fact that the photos are so busy with already having Christmas decorations and Christmas trees and lights and things and people running around, I don't feel that it actually needs a huge amount of embellishment. What I'll probably do when it comes down to embellishing, and I've printed out my little reindeer bell, either one of them or two of them, or maybe two of them up there, I don't know. I'll probably put little dots, little pretty dots, sparkly shiny ones, like, keep lots and lots of things in these wonderful, they're like food saver Tupperware jobs. You can get them quite cheaply in most supermarkets and they're great. This is a set of shiny dots that are actually coming out in September. They're the glossy garden dots. And the paper that they come with is quite nice, and the dies, the little square dies, wait until they arrive and I show you those. Oh, they're very good. But I might end up putting some of these on here, and I've got some red ones as well and some gold ones around as well somewhere, and I'll probably put those on because those were the three colours of the reindeer bells, which is why I went for the green and the red and the gold for the layout. And this is pretty much the colour of the tree. So thank you very much for helping me stick my paper down for an extremely simple layout. Till the next time, happy crafting!